Okay, I think we'll make a start then. So good evening, everybody. I am David Hobday, Chair of the Bath Bid, and I'm delighted to welcome you all to this evening's event, which is to launch the business plan, which will support the third 5-year term of the Bath Business Improvement District of the Bath Bid. So like all cities, Bath has faced huge challenges during the pandemic, and we're very conscious of how very hard many of the businesses in the centre of Bath have been impacted. But amongst all the strife, the crisis presents opportunities too, to think about how things might actually be better in the future. The bid's been around for 10 years now, and we deliver all sorts of brilliant basics on a day-to-day basis, which we'll hear more about as we go through this evening. These things support the operations of businesses in Bath and add value to what they do. We will carry on doing these things, of course, and they will be important in helping businesses to recover from the pandemic. But we've also used the Build Back Better principle extensively in our planning for the future. The main purpose of the bid, after all, is to make Bath a better place. Very specifically, it's about making Bath a great place for business. And our ambition is that Bath becomes one of the most commercially astute cities in the country. There are 4 themes to this which provide the framework for our plan. So we will continue to ensure that Bath is a welcoming city. We will build on its smart credentials, developing technology that we already have that provides valuable business intelligence. And Bath will be a connected city because we will achieve so much more by being joined up, by collaborating, by working together in partnership. And finally, Bath will be a successful city. So again, working in partnership, the bid will ensure it is a well-promoted city that attracts inward investment and other external finance too. All of these things are aimed at building Bath's economy, making it more resilient, contributing to environmental sustainability, creating a more inclusive city so that it can be enjoyed by the people who live here, the people who work here, and the people who visit the city too. And with that, I'd like to hand over to our Chief Executive, Alison.
Thank you, David, and welcome everybody. It's lovely to have you with us in this virtual space. So just a few practical details for you before we get going. What we're actually going to do this evening is sort of run through an animated version of the business plan. So there will naturally be an awful lot of text on each page. Please don't worry about reading it right now. There are lots of opportunities for you to download the business plan or read it online, or in fact have a print copy if that's what you prefer, and you can have it on your coffee table. So don't worry about that. And then in just focusing in on the contents page, this is what we're going to cover this evening. So we'll give you a bit of background, how we came up with the business plan, and then introduce you to the 4 themes that David's talked about: welcoming, smart, connected, and successful. Talk a bit about the way that we've worked over the last couple of years, and then drill down into the nuts and bolts, the kind of rules and the financial information. So without further ado, oh no, there is one more point, sorry. So if you scroll down to the bottom of, I'm sure you're all familiar with Zoom now, but to the bottom of your screen, we have activated the question and answers. So if you wouldn't mind, because of the way we've constructed this presentation, it flows much better if we don't stop and start. So if you wouldn't mind putting your questions into the question and answer, and thank you to those who've submitted them in advance. We may well answer them as we go, or we'll come to them after the presentations. So I hope that makes perfect sense, and we can move on to talk about our journey of success. So I think it's a confident statement, a journey of success, and I am really proud of the work that the Bath Bid has done over the last 10 years. I've been part of the organisation just for 3 years, and it's really easy to see as you come into an organisation like the Bid how well respected and how important it is to the city. we've been so pleased to get some really positive testimonials for this document, so please read them. But at this point, I'd like to introduce a couple of directors from the board. So we split our work currently into 3 subgroups. We have developing and innovating, and that group has been focusing on building this business plan. We have managing and saving, and we have welcoming and promoting. And so for the first section of this journey of success, I'd like to introduce Ellie, who runs the Grapes in the city centre, who chairs our managing and saving group.
Thanks, Alison. Yeah, the Managing and Savings Group looks at a number of areas, but primarily the work carried out by the Rangers and safety in the city. As we all know, the Rangers carry out daily activities, including cleaning, graffiti removal and deep cleans. And I have to say, you know, they've really stepped up to the plate this year. In the second quarter of 2020, despite uncertainty, furlough and a range of other challenges, the Rangers' productivity rose by 23%, carrying out 928 jobs, which in Q3 rose to a phenomenal 1,632 jobs over the summer. This hasn't just meant compliance around COVID secure cleaning and maintenance schedules, but has ensured a better looking city for visitors and locals alike, and some much needed maintenance for mothballed businesses. Safety is dealt with through strong working partnerships with other local organisations, including the local authority, and includes a coordinated approach for the nighttime economy through the Night Watch programme. This has resulted in Bath holding the Institute of Place Management's Purple Flag status for the last 10 years. The importance of having an organisation in place as a mechanism to help in times of crisis cannot be underestimated, and the BID have also been instrumental in coordinating the business response to COVID, including the massive task of floor stickers across the city and the tricky task of managing crowds while still encouraging people to come into the city and spend money. Which leads me quite nicely to introducing Nicholas, who will tell you more when he talks about our work in welcoming and promoting. Thank you.
Thanks, Ellie. Hi, everyone. I'm Nicholas Wilde. I've had a business in Bath for 35 years, so I've also watched the Bath BID grow over the years. And in the last 10 years, on the welcoming and promoting side, we've done a lot of investments and helped promote a lot of businesses through various functions and campaigns through the city. But one of the most important things, we brought in the welcoming ambassadors over the last 3 years, and they've been a great success to the city. But we've got to look to the future with Bath BID, because this part now is very, very important, especially on the welcoming and promoting. Cities throughout, or city centres throughout the country, are going to really struggle in the next 5 years. So this is where the Bath BID is going to flourish. We are going to build on the things that we have set in place in the last 3 years, and we can develop these to make the city a much more successful place, promoting to the local people. So I think this is very, very important part, the welcoming and promoting part of the BID. And myself and the team are really excited to try and make this work through the next period. And working with you, the members, with any ideas you have to bring the city centre to life and make it a much better, successful place. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Nick. We have a really diverse board, and it's great to have somebody whose promotional campaigns are famous in their own right, the Wild Diamond campaigns and so on, actually advising us in our strategic work. So we're very fortunate on the board. So we started this business hand process by asking you what were the most important things of the work that we currently do, and what things you'd like us to carry on, and you know what things you were less fussed about, I suppose. In fact, everything scored fairly highly. So the way that we've decided to think about, to frame the work that we're going to do in the future is in terms of brilliant basics, which is the fundamentals. It's the absolute kind of bedrock of everything that we do. And by brilliant basics, we mean all the favorite things that we know that you find useful. So the ranger service, we're not touching that. Keeping the city nice for everybody who works here, as well as the visitors and the residents. And the nighttime security and the flowers and the events. That's our brilliant basics. That's the kind of goes without saying activity that we're going to be doing. Going forward, we've also looked at things where we think there's scope for improvement. So one of the key things that we've had feedback about over the last couple of years is the trade waste contract. We know that there are kind of persistent grumbles in certain corners that the Suez service isn't as good as it needs to be, and so we're going to re-tender that contract. So we've had 10 years of partnership with Suez, near enough, and 2 different contracts, and it's definitely time to revisit that. And in fact, we've already had interest from a couple of trade waste operators who are interested in working with us in Bath. And it's great to have that trade waste service. It means that you get a discount. It's around about 25% usually, and it means that there's slightly fewer operators, lorries coming into the city, which is good for the clean air and good for everybody's experience of the city. Nobody wants to be in a city that's rammed with waste lorries, which is what I gather it was like before the Suez partnership was developed by the board at that time. So we're going to do that better, and it's going to include food waste because the legislation is changing in 2023. And the other thing that we're including in our improving area is, excuse me, training events. We've been really aware through COVID how popular the webinars were, and how actually doing them in this format makes them really quite straightforward to achieve. And so we're going to develop a program of real kind of the stuff that you've got to have type training, you know, lifting and fire safety and that sort of thing, so that where you would have to spend the money on a trainer for perhaps 2 people and your neighbour might need 2 other people to go on the training, you can save by us bringing everybody together. So that will start shortly, you know, as we move into year 1. Hopefully another way of delivering some cost efficiencies for you. And then new projects. We're really aware that following on from COVID, the independent businesses are going to need an awful lot of support and actually have got so much to offer the city. So there have previously been associations for all of the independent businesses of Bath, and they've all fallen by the wayside, usually because the person running them gets tired and has to go back to running their own business. So we have agreed that we'll fund the secretariat for that organisation, so that the independent business can run it themselves, they can do their own projects, they can have them make their own plans according to their own agenda. At least someone else will take care of booking the rooms and taking the minutes and that sort of thing. Unfortunately, the person who was going to speak about security is not quite got to us in time, but I just want to talk about our other very exciting new project, which is that we are going to be offering a daytime security scheme for the city. It's going to be free for bid levy payers to participate. Normally it would cost you about £500 a year to participate in a scheme like that. And through the scheme, you'll get that kind of radio link, internet link communication, which will be fully accredited by the South West Business Crime Partnership, who run the same scheme for Bristol and Salisbury. So they know what they're doing, and they're really confident that they've got the right product for us. The security guards will have radios that you can talk to from your businesses in the day. And that doesn't have to be, you know, just retailers. It might be as people are, you know, fewer people are likely to be working in offices. It could be that it would be something that an office receptionist or, you know, or the person who's nearest the door would also like to have one of those radios. And the only cost to you will be actually to hire your own radio, because the idea of owning thousands of radios going across the city and being able to keep tabs on them is not something that would be a good use of the bid's time and resources. So you'll have to hire your radios through the bid scheme, and we'll set them all up for you. But we think the cost of the radios at the moment, the quote we've had is about £3 a week. So it shouldn't be too much in addition. And it represents, as I say, quite a big discount on what it would be. And we'll be delivering this programme with the support of Bath Council, the CCTV team, and also Avon and Somerset Police, who have helped us develop the proposals. And now, a bit of entertainment for you. I would like to introduce our first video.
So the purpose of the Bath bid, very simply, is to make Bath City Centre a great place for businesses. It's about enabling businesses to achieve commercial success and inclusive growth.
Bath Bid's been running for 10 years. We're in a really strong position. We've got 10 years of track record behind us. We've got 10 years of trust that the businesses have put in us. But I think it's really important that you don't sit back and rest on your laurels. So we've done a lot of consultation to find out which of the activities that we've been doing for some of the last 10 years are the ones that have the most impact.
We know we're doing the right things because we have a small, agile team of people which are in constant communication with all our levy payers. That's the first and most important thing. But over and above that, of course, with a number of formal occasions, such as an annual general meeting each year when there is formal feedback about the performance of the bid. We do a spring meeting, and then each October as we prepare our business plan for the forthcoming year. So a wide range of formal occasions, but also informal opportunities as well to communicate on progress.
We've learned that the things that people absolutely love are the bid ranger service. It's, you know, responsive, the handyman service, the night security. People like the flowers that we do, and the event support and so on. But there was a real appetite for some new work in the city. So for our next 5-year plan, we have condensed our activities into a vision of 4 themes. And what we're imagining is a welcoming city, a connected city, a smart city, and a successful city.
Thank you. So the evening will be punctuated by our little videos, and I do hope you'll enjoy them. We were desperately trying to think of a way that we could make this not just another Zoom meeting for you, so that at least there would be something to wake you up periodically. So I'd like to introduce now our first theme, which is a welcoming city. And historically, we've separated the management of the city and the welcome of the city. And actually, I think that they belong together. So for us, a welcoming city is a clean and a safe and a friendly city. And we're doing everything we can to make those 3 elements come together in the work that we do. And this will represent more than half of our total spend across all of the work that we do. So you know, the things that we've already referred to, the security, you know, making it a safe city, the flowers, the welcome ambassadors, and so on, and of course the rangers. Where would we be without the rangers? So I'm just going to go back to Nicholas Wilde, who was actually the board director, without whom we wouldn't have the Welcome Ambassador scheme. So he is the absolute right person to introduce the video that features them. So I'd like to hand over to Nicholas now.
Hi everyone, it's me again. About 3 years ago, I saw a gap where we needed, I thought we needed people on the street to help our tourists, whether they're local or foreign tourists, and guide them better through the city. And it's been a huge success. We've had over 18,000 requests for questions from the tourists, from as little as where's the nearest toilet, or to where all the museums are and what's going on. So it's been an excellent result, really. and even more important as the tourist office has now shut, and there's no future plans to relaunch that. So having these ambassadors who are doing it in their spare time and volunteers is going to be really, really important for the future of Bath. And they are so keen as well. And other bids around the country are so impressed of what we've managed to achieve with these welcome ambassadors and how well we've trained them. So that's you know, a great success on the back of the team of Bath Bid who've achieved this. So let's hear what they have to say on the video clip, Alison.
The bid offer lots of services to make sure that people have a good experience when coming to visit Bath. We've got our welcome ambassadors, for example, who offer a friendly face for people that are visiting.
The people coming to the city so often found their way around, navigated their way through the city by going to the Tourist Information Centre. And now it's up to us, the bid volunteers, to help them and to make their experience of Bath that much more pleasant.
We welcome people, they feel they ask their questions, we listen, we try to help them. I think all this comes together in a very easy way.
The Bath Bid has an excellent reputation. It's well organised and it has a track record of getting things done. And that is attractive to a volunteer, knowing that you're part of a well-founded group of people.
They look after their volunteers really well. We're given the information that we need to do the job, and we're all very enthusiastic about promoting Bath. They also listen to us, and that's rare, right? So that's a huge plus too. So yeah, it's a very happy association as far as I'm concerned.
So one of the key things that the bid does is make sure the city is a great place to come. One of the ways that we do that is with our rangers, so they work to keep the city clean and tidy and do handiwork jobs for levy payers to make sure the city is in great condition.
We are more of a quick reaction force. We do all sorts of jobs. We do anything from street cleaning through to basic DIY for premises.
I think they've got a group of people that can do quite a few different aspects of jobs, handiwork to general maintenance. It's also a service that's free, so it's affordable for the businesses. We get good feedback from them.
We've used Bath Bid before for various things, some of which painting the front of the shop. We supplied the paint and the rangers come and painted it. There's been things like dog fouling in the street, and then the rangers have come and cleaned that up as well. And other things that should be done in the city that aren't, and the bid picked that up as well.
We do trade waste pickups as well. If people have had their trade waste missed, we will pick that up for them. This is all done through eco-friendly ways. They have an up-to-date fleet, which means that they're very low on emissions, they're very economical to run, and the noise levels on them are reduced dramatically because all the actual working parts are encased in the actual body of the vehicle.
Probably the biggest and best feedback we get is how responsive and quick we get jobs done. In particular, the rangers, who, if there is a job that needs to be done, they're normally there within 15 minutes.
And another thing that we do is we invest in floral displays, and we are really involved in Bath in Bloom as well, because it's so important that the city feels warm and welcoming and has a really nice atmosphere for people when they visit.
So, hi everybody. My name is Simon Hall, and I'm from Hotel Indigo. We're obviously a new investor in the city. So we're really keen to be part of the bid as a new investor into Bath. And I have the pleasure of sitting on the welcoming committee with Nicholas. Hospitality businesses in Bath work really hard to make sure that every guest has an excellent experience. But we couldn't do it without the bid team of the Rangers, the Marshals, and the Welcome Ambassadors. We also work hard to ensure a clean, safe, and friendly city experience for everybody. But that's really important that everybody who lives and works in Bath, the people that work, spend their money in all of our businesses, also have a great experience in the city.
Thanks, Simon. So we're going to move on now to look at a smart city. Bath obviously has a reputation as a city where new things get developed. We're an unexpectedly high-tech city in a very exceptional heritage context. And we're really proud at the BID that we're sort of part of that development. We've pioneered a collection of business insights that no other city has had until the last couple of months, actually. And as a founder member of that data project, we actually were able to get a significant discount. So you pay for the same data in Bath an awful lot less than they pay in Bristol or Leeds or Manchester. And we think it's important to know what we're doing, why we're doing it, and whether it's actually working. And that's the kind of fundamental ethos behind the smart city idea, and that's why we invest in specialist business intelligence. And I'm now going to hand over to Tarquin MacDonald from Bath Rugby, who is also one of our board directors.
Thank you, Alison. Hi, everyone. So yeah, Bath Rugby, we've supported this project throughout. We very much believe in the importance of data and analysis, not just on the field, but off it. And so we really supported the development of this business intelligence capability. And for us specifically, we were excited about this because in normal times, we bring a significant number of people into the city, and understanding their movements, understanding their spend, that's of real value to us. And likewise, we could see that value to other businesses. So something that we very much believed in, and what this capability provides is a dashboard which gives anonymized insights into where people come from. Been really interesting understanding what the destination, what the journey start points are from people coming to Bath, repeat visits, whether they're residents, gender. Importantly, understanding the average spend from visa information. This is pretty unusual. It's pretty unusual, and it's also analysis which most businesses would not be able to afford, particularly with everything that we're facing as we go through COVID. And being able to access this through the BID is a great opportunity, and also an example of how we work together. And you know, for us as a club, I think for all of us as businesses, as we face into greater uncertainty, understanding more about the people coming to Bath, understanding what they're doing, how they're spending their money, understanding how they're moving around the city is incredibly valuable and probably vital for us moving forward.
So we're in a really fortunate position that we have this very sophisticated data collection that gives us insight into how the city works. And actually, we've pioneered that service. Bath is the first city to develop that kind of level of insight.
We have footfall counters, which really helps for businesses, especially during this COVID pandemic. We also have visa data that we collect, which helps us understand where people are spending, how much they're spending, and where they are spending from. Data that is
valuable for marketing as well, so we can find out where our customers do come from or perhaps don't come from, and target that a bit more specifically.
And what that has told us, one of the interesting, quite surprising facts, is that 70% of the UK people who are in the city at any one time tend to come from less than 10 kilometres away. And so we understand in a very factual way the link between our high street and the success of our high street businesses, and actually the visitors, the residents, and more importantly the workers, the people who work in the office sector businesses. And one of the strong aspirations of the BID for the next 5-year plan is to look really closely at how we can build the connections between the office sector businesses and the high street businesses. I think if we do all of that right, then we will have a successful city.
Thank you. And I'm really pleased that we've started to have conversations with the universities about and in fact Bath College, about how some of their students might get to play with some of the insights or some of the raw data, in fact, coming out of our dashboard, and use it to help the city to model either proposed or planned activities in the city, and see what the impact is, and really help us to interpret it in the most sophisticated way possible. And I think that's going to be absolutely crucial as we go forward over the next 5 years. We need to be really agile and really sure that we're doing the right things. Obviously the university is one of our partners already, and that's very much what runs through our next theme, which is a connected city. So for us, a connected city is about agreeing what we're trying to achieve, agreeing our goals and our purpose, and finding the right people to get together and achieve them. And that might be us being invited into groups or us pulling groups together. And we know that that's one of the things that is our USP. I regularly get phone calls from people who say, I knew you'd know the right person to ask. And it's fantastic to be able to do that. It costs me nothing to share that sort of information, and I know it brings benefit. And on a wider scale, it's exactly what we did when we were looking first time round, not right, what feels like naively this time last year, when we were thinking about the city reopening in the summer. And we brought together every single arts organisation we could think of to do the Big Bath Welcome Back. And it was a huge gathering of people who were all sharing their brilliant ideas. And that's exactly what we hope to achieve with a connected city. And we know that, that has great value. So I'd like to now introduce Professor Andy Salmon, who is another of our board directors, but who in his day job works for Bath Spa University.
Thank you, Alison, and thank you, everybody. It's a real privilege to be involved in the board. My day job is Pro-Vice-Chancellor for External, which means that I work on the university's business, and particularly everything to do with connection. The bid over the last 5 years has worked with a huge number of people. Just to sample, Great Western Railway, the Great West Way, the educational providers, both the universities, the college, Avon and Somerset Police, residents' organisations, Bath Festivals, Bath Carnival, Bath Digital Festival, Bath Life Magazine, Bath Magazine, the Rotary Club, Bath in Bloom, the churches, and all the volunteers who help with Christmas. And that's just a tiny sample of people. Why does that matter? We've heard a lot, I think, this evening about the current situation, COVID, how we're all coping. Looking at the film we're about to see, it made me think about ecosystems, meaning how life is connected. A city is an ecosystem. Bath is a particular ecosystem, as we already heard. Ecosystems depend on being resistant to threats, resilient, and then able to adapt. That completely depends on how effective the connections are between the various parts of the ecosystem. Diversity basically protects us. And education is crucial as part of that, but only as part of it. And it only means something when you work in partnership with your fellow collaborators, that being everything else in the ecosystem. And that can be in particular things like the iStart project that we're working on with many of the bid members, which is and both the University of Bath and the college and schools and loads of other providers to provide upskilling and reskilling for people. But at a much more fundamental level, it seems to me that connectivity is the only way that we will face a whole series of future challenges. I don't think COVID has changed anything. I think it's accelerated a whole load of things, many of which are already problematic. The good thing is that we can see those problems, I think, perhaps a bit more clearly than we could beforehand. The challenges we face then depend on how well we will connect together. And the bid I think is really, really important in relation to that. In fact, it's the most important connectivity organisation we've got. So I think it's great to hear all of this evening, and what a good ecosystem the bid provides in the different ways four streams are looking at. And I'm very pleased to introduce the film. Thank you.
It's absolutely essential that we work in partnership with other organisations, because our vision for Bath is to make sure that the city centre becomes one of the most commercially astute centres in the UK. We can't actually do that on our own. You know, there are all sorts of organisations and protagonists in the community that need to come together to ensure success.
So a connected city for us is all about working with the businesses in the city, but also wider than the city, wider than the business community, including the residents and organisations with influence, and and in fact the world. Bath is a UNESCO World Heritage City. You could argue that our community is actually the world. So we need to make sure that we're making really strong connections across all of that.
Bath has a really varied schedule of events during any normal year, and it's really well renowned for some of its major events and festivals. There are loads of different things that pull and draw people in throughout the year. So it's really important that the bid really invest time and money in making sure those events are as successful as possible, and that they really leverage good quality visits to the city.
What we've learned from the Christmas programme of activities is how effective we can be when we do work together. So it's been absolutely wonderful to see the carnival, the festival, the council, the bid, and a number of private performance art organisations all coming together to create the safest, I think, and most imaginative Christmas programme that we could possibly have come up with. And that's been a triumph of collaboration, and I think I'm really looking forward to seeing what we can do in a slightly more relaxed time when we're not so constrained by the pandemic.
A strong and resilient community doesn't just have a strong business sector. Communities are codependent on all the parts that make it up. Hence the importance of working in partnership to make sure that there's good collaboration, there's a good holistic approach to supporting our communities.
Thank you. And obviously the partner that just slipped in the editing perhaps is Visit Bath, who've obviously undergone quite a lot of change over the last few months. And one of our key partners as we come out of the pandemic is going to be the new Visit West organisation, and we're already talking to them, and we're already working really closely with them to make sure that the current COVID guidance to the public is completely aligned, and we will continue to work with them and to support them with investing in campaigns that they're running, or just bringing their information back to the businesses. So it's all connected. And following on from David's point at the end of that video, bringing the three elements together is how we believe that we will participate in delivering a successful city over the next 5 years. And obviously we're interested in a successful city, and all of the work that we do is designed to make your individual businesses more successful in a city that is successful. And there are one or two projects within this particular kind of work area that are specifically designed to bring commercial success for your businesses. I'm going to hand back to David.
Thank you, Alison. I guess it stands to reason that to be successful, we need money. And of course, the bid helps create a successful city by using the income we receive from levy payers as wisely as we can. But the important point is that we can go beyond that too, by using our influence and leverage to access additional funding, additional grants or other funding, for example, that might be available for specific projects. And actually that's something we've done extensively in the past, and we're working currently in partnership with the council to access funding from WECA, the West of England Combined Authority, on a project which is aimed at reducing the impact of empty shops in the city centre, for example. So we will be investing in promoting the city as we emerge from lockdown, and we'll use our funds and our influence and our expertise to add value to the work of our partners, such as Visit West, as Alison has described. And we'll also support Bath's economy by making sure that people can access the skills training they need, which businesses need too, of course. And Andy's already mentioned iStart, so we're working in partnership with the council as well as the Bath 2 universities, all of which are part of the bid. And, you know, given rising unemployment, especially in younger people because of layoffs, especially in the retail, leisure and the hospitality sectors, that work, that support for skills training is going to be of particular significance. Alison.
There's a lot more detail about Welcome to Bath and the website in the next video or a subsequent video, but it's a new development, and we had originally planned it as part of this business plan, but we actually, it was an example of where the team turned on a penny and brought it forward in double quick time so that it could be a tool to help you all as a response for COVID-19. And just to do a quick boast, I haven't got the statistics from the last week, but it launched at the beginning of November. And in that period, in November and December and the first week in January, we had something almost 25,000 individual visits to the website, which is enormous for a brand new website, which just goes to show that that information that very much targeted at a local audience about what's on, what's open, who can you go to get a takeaway from without booking, where do you need to book, who's doing click and collect, all of that information was put out as quickly as possible. And we're going to carry on with the Welcome to Bath website, but it will evolve in a time of new events to be more of a what's on guide to the city. We think that's something that people need, and we're really hopeful that it will help concierges in the hotels, and when people arrive, the most common question people ask when they arrive is, they say to the welcome ambassadors, well, I've got 3 hours, what shall I do? So on the days when they don't bump into a welcome ambassador, we hope that the Welcome to Bath website will help them to answer that question. And then the other thing I just wanted to highlight was the Bath gift card. The Bath gift card has been spent thus far in 138 places, although there are more than that who participate in the scheme. And we've actually sold over £100,000 worth of gift cards. So that's investment in a promotional campaign which brings money directly into your tills, and that's the sort of thing that the bid can do by our collective work. And I'm really pleased that some of our office businesses bought them as Christmas gifts for their staff, which is a really lovely way of showing loyalty to their fellow businesses in the city centre. And we'll carry on working through this kind of successful city theme to support events like Bath Festival, initiatives like Bath Unlimited, and using our own promotional tools to represent Bath at regional and national forums, and also representing your own news and successes via our channels, as we have been doing throughout the last year. And I think it's time for another video.
Bath has an international reputation. The way it developed in the 18th century is exceptional, and so many people want to come here and see the layers of history from the Roman baths right through to the modern day, city, which is so unique amongst cities of Europe.
And we need to make sure that people know how unique Bath is, and make sure that we're promoting Bath with our stakeholders in a really consistent way to really promote the Bath brand. We're here to provide a service to people living locally and people when they enter the city centre, so that they know what's on in the city. All levy payers can upload their events to the Welcome to Bath website for free. Another way that we provide a welcoming environment is to make sure that all unoccupied retailers are also looking good, and that's been especially important during COVID, and making sure that after lockdown periods Bath businesses are ready to welcome people back full force.
I mean, I'm just daily impressed by the bid. You know, the level of cleanliness all the way through, even when the town was empty, you know, the jobs that got done, the events that have been put on, the Christmas light display. I just find it invaluable. It was one of the reasons we wanted to have a business in Bath, was because we knew the bid was so effective, and it really helps businesses run.
What makes a strong, resilient community means that all constituents of a community, not just the strength of its business, all the things that make up a strong community are working in harmony with each other.
You know, if we all pull together, we'll have a successful city.
Thank you. So moving on from looking forward, we also think it's, you know, fair enough to look backwards and celebrate some of the successes that we've had over the last couple of years. So we gave you a snapshot of the year 2019 to 2020 in the business plan, because we wanted you to understand what the bid services looked like on a normal year. And I think you can see, you know, the rangers, the savings, the welcome ambassadors, and obviously 2019 was a great year for us because we actually won gold at Britain in Bloom, which gave a lot of very positive press for the city, and actually the process of applying for it was fabulous. We worked with some amazing volunteers. And so then if we move forward to what we did over the last 10 months, I think what we showed was what an agile organisation we are. It's been really different and really difficult, and we've adapted every area of our work. We changed our communications, we changed the way the rangers worked, we changed the night marshals, we changed our management. We have had some fantastic feedback from businesses at this time, and as well the community, who've really appreciated how present we've been throughout this period, without you know, unnecessarily being present. We've been very focused on you know, where the city's empty, taking the opportunities to do that sort of work that you can't do when it's busy. So I'd just like to hand over to Ellie from the Managing and Saving Group.
Thanks, Alison. No one can deny this year has had significant challenges, and we're not out of the woods yet by any means, but there have been a number of initiatives set out by the bid which have offered a real ray of hope, including coordination around the Big Bath Welcome Back. This primarily looked at how to promote the city to local people under extremely difficult circumstances, and was started by asking all local organisations for ideas and input. Alison and the team did a brilliant job. The banner competition was very well received, and I couldn't help but be proud of the city when I saw how many people, especially families, enjoyed the light trail at Christmas on social media. And now some of the feedback received will really inform how we move forward as we ease out of the current restrictions. The Bath bid has really come into its own, and this will be laid out quite clearly in the video coming up in a moment, but I have been really impressed by how flexible the organisation has been in responding to each and every obstacle put in its way over the past 10 months, from how we communicate with people to how to organise workflows. Having an organisation like the Bath bid in a time of crisis has been really important, and has dealt with everything from the response to the impact of road closures and social distancing for businesses, to sector-specific webinars informing us how to manage the latest legislation. As someone living in the city, the assurance that all businesses receive daily visual checks has helped me sleep easier at night, and the continuing presence of the rangers has been instrumental in maintaining a clean, welcoming environment, as well as deterring antisocial behaviour, or dealing with the consequences of it quickly should it arise. And you'll hear more about this in the video coming up in a second.
During COVID, we increased our levy payer communications and we hosted lots of webinars to give businesses support and just some clarity on what the situation was and how businesses can get support from the government, such as the business retention scheme. And that, I think, was quite rewarding for us, because we were that person that the business could rely on, and offer that support.
The response has been very coordinated. We've kept everybody in the loop all the time. We've had a lot of webinars that have been really well attended. Obviously, not all the information is well received all the time, but it is really important that that information goes out in a consistent and clear way, and that has been managed really well by the bids.
We've utilised our footfall reports frequently to see how the city centre is comparing in terms of footfall versus the previous year and also versus the previous week.
And one of the things that we've tried to do throughout the COVID period is be as generous as we can with the data. It's no good us sitting on that data if businesses and actually decision-making organisations don't share in that information. So we've made sure that, for example, the council get a weekly update so that when they're doing all of their recovery planning, they know as much as we do about what's going on in the city. And we've fed it to government and we've fed it to the West of England Combined Authority. And we really think that understanding the kind of profile of the visitor to Bath is going to be crucial to our future development.
One of our brilliant new initiatives that we launched in 2020, and partly as a response to COVID and making sure we're supporting businesses as much as we can, was with the launch of the Welcome to Bath website. Initially, that website was there to support businesses while we were in lockdown. So it provided lots of information about all the essential retailers that were open, about anyone offering takeaways and anybody with an online shop, so that people could continue to support local even if they couldn't come into the city centre.
Well, during COVID, we carried on all of our services, and I think the biggest support that we gave to businesses was probably through our rangers. We worked closely with the council and ensured that the city was clean.
Because of the lack of footfall, what was about, we could get into the areas and we could really deep clean them. That's from sort of washing the pavements, jet washing the pavements, to removing chewing gum, to disinfecting bins, disinfecting wayfinders. So we worked really well with the council, and the council really, I think, appreciated everything we'd done as part of the partnership.
Well, it was a challenge. It's a challenge for everyone during the period, but I think it's one that we adjusted to really quickly, and we carried on doing what we were doing in the city. We provided the range of services. I was on the phone 7 days a week, and we offered that support and that guidance to the businesses in the city who needed it. And it was a new challenge for all of us, and I think it's something that we definitely adjusted to quite well.
Thank you. And as Roland alluded to, our partnership with Bath and North East Somerset Council really came to the fore over the last 10 months. And so I'm absolutely delighted to hand over to the leader of Bath and North East Somerset Council, Dina Romero.
Thank you very much, Alison. And I think that video sums up so much. We can do better when we work together, on a shared vision of a successful city. Together, we aim to make this city the most attractive it can be to a wide range of businesses, for residents and for visitors alike. The council really values the close relationship that we have built with the bid, and I hope that the presence of the council leader on the board demonstrates how much we value the bid. Personally, I like having Alison's telephone number so I can alert her to issues immediately. During the last year, the partnership with the bid really has come to the fore. We've collaborated on cleaning, security, messaging, managing events and communication. I know that the bid has joined the council's city management calls. Sometimes this was every morning to make sure that everyone was working together. The bid has been a key partner, particularly over this last year, during lockdowns and between lockdowns, helping with queue management, helping with getting the right messages out to visitors and to residents, and also dressing the city, reusing shop fronts imaginatively, and helping keep our city feel safe and clean and attractive. So the dovetailing of resources from council tax and from the bid levy means that everyone gets the best value for their contribution. And I think this has been shown during this pandemic. I too would like to consider life beyond the pandemic, when we'll need to be working with all our partners on addressing the climate emergency and adapting to various measures being brought brought in to help tackle specific concerns and challenges, one of which is the clean air zone, but also tackling issues such as food waste and some of the problems that that causes with girls, as well as through positive work on the climate emergency through energy generation. So there's a lot of work that we can do together, and we will be doing together. So it is also important that we are able to put out clear and consistent communications to the business community, so everyone has the best opportunity to understand not just what is happening, but why it is important. And we can all work together in moving the city forward into the future, however that is shaped. So I'll hand back to Alison, I think.
Thank you. That's great. And unfortunately, Dina has to move on to another meeting. So we'll say goodbye to Dina at this stage. And I'm now going to hand back to Maeve England, who was our chair when I first started working for the bid, but has now ceded to David Hobday. So over to Maeve England.
Good evening. I'm going to pick up one of the themes that Dina mentioned, which is value, because, and I want to talk about value for money, because I want to explain how the bid saves you money. Times have been hard and continue to be hard, and we're aware of that, and the bottom line matters, and never more so than now. And so by paying your levy as a one-off fee, you can see the screen in front of you. I want to pick up some examples of how actually you end up saving money by being a member of the bid. So just as one example, which is graffiti, you may not be aware, we've done some research into this. A call-out fee for a contractor to come and clean graffiti from your property works out at £800 a day, which is about £100 an hour. They may have to come back the next day when the graffiti reappears, and by that one-off payment, you actually are quids in on you're up on the deal, as it were, by paying for your levy once. Of course, we don't come back and ask for money again. There's no call-out fee. You've heard about our average response times of our fabulous rangers. So by paying your levy, what you're actually getting is access to a quick response, proud working team who take pleasure and pride in serving you quickly and providing a quality job. And so that's just one example, but there are others. For example, you'll save money in a number of ways: trade waste discount, free crime reduction partnership, promotion of your job vacancies and special events, essential training. So all of that adds up to a considerable saving for your business. Value for your money is important to the bid, and that is what we strive to provide. I'm going to hand back over now to David. You're on mute, David.
You'd think after months and months of using Zoom, we'd get used to this, wouldn't we? But there we go. Thank you, Maeve. I just wanted to highlight, in addition, that in the first year of the new term of the bid, and you'll see this in the budget section of the business plan, that we were expecting a significantly lower income from the levy payers, and that's because we're offering a 25% discount in the first year. Sadly, because of bid regulations, we weren't actually able to do that in the current year. We couldn't actually offer a discount against the price that we'd charge. But I think that will be a very important benefit to and helpful benefit to levy payers in year one of the new term. Okay, I think we're now on to members of the board. Yeah, and I think for me, if we take a look at membership of the board, first of all, it's a real privilege to chair the board. It's made up of a very high caliber group of people who genuinely have your interests at heart. We all represent different types of levy payer, so collectively our interests are really well aligned with all of you. And I think this is a good opportunity for me to thank all my board colleagues for for all the time they give, which of course is voluntarily given, and for helping to guide the work of the bid. It really is very much appreciated. And I think it's just, you know, I think one of the things that this webinar has shown is just how dedicated our board members are. It really matters to them that they get value for money from their levy fee too. Anyway, it is of course the operational team that do all the heavy lifting on a day-to-day basis, and so I'm very happy to hand back to Alison, who's going to introduce you to the team.
Thank you. Well, here they all are, and I think this calls for another video.
So hello, I'm Alison Herbert. I'm the Chief Executive of the Bath Business Improvement District.
My name's Emily Mackay and I'm Head of Communications and Marketing at the Bath Bid, and what that primarily means is working on campaigns, working with stakeholders in the city. I look after the Bath Bid social media channels, the Welcome to Bath website, which is new for 2020, and really just helping to make sure the city is promoted and the events in the city are promoted to their very best to the people living locally as well as people visiting the city.
Hi, I'm Tilly Sheridan, and as well as looking after our Welcome Ambassadors, I help coordinate projects at the Bath Bid as well as helping our office manager, Nick.
So hi, I'm Nick Bishop and I'm the office manager here at the Bid. And I have quite a varied role here, which I really enjoy, and I work closely with all parts of the team, so the Welcome Ambassadors, the Rangers, and the office staff. And I'm the person that picks up the phone on a regular basis to the levy payers, and I'm there to try and help solve their problems or any questions that they might have, and just be that person that sort of links the office and the Ranger team.
My name's Neil Rowlinson. I work for the Bath Bid as I'm a Ranger, and there's 4 of us. We help all the local businesses to achieve a better standard of being a business within Bath.
My name's Roland Russell. I'm the Education Enforcement Officer for Bath. I'm employed by Bath and North East Somerset Council and on a SLA agreement with Bath Bid. I look after not only the businesses, I look after all the tradeways side. I liaise between the Bid and the council on various items such as property services. You name it, I'm sort of involved in it all.
Thank you, and I would also like to say thank you to the team in this and the board in the same way that David did. The team have been absolutely fantastic over the last 12 months and have been so loyal to all of your businesses. You couldn't really wish for more dedication. So we're going to move on now to some of the nuts and bolts of the next term of the bid. So the picture there, I sometimes think it might be a heart, especially when it's drawn in pink. But this represents the bid area. And we did consult with some businesses who are just to the south of our bid area and consider an extension of the bid, but we decided, having had the year of upheaval that we've just had, now wasn't the moment to undermine the quality of service that we could provide by trying to extend the area that we covered. However, we will continue to look at this, and it might be something that we come back to in 5 years. And all of those businesses, some of whom were really enthusiastic about being part of the bid, we will go back to and invite them to become voluntary members of the family, as it were. So a little bit more information. It's probably a bit late in the presentation to talk about what is a bid, but I have spent 3 years explaining what a bid is. So I think it's always good to refresh our minds. So a business improvement district, there are over 300 of them across the country, and they represent millions, if not more, of investment into places. And basically what happens, it's a business-led and business-funded organisation which is formed around a defined commercial area. They run for a maximum of 5 years after a successful ballot. So that's what we're doing here. We're presenting to you our business plan for the next 5 years in advance of you receiving your voting papers. And the way that the money is collected is that a levy, as we call it, is applied based on your rateable value. For the bills are actually managed again by legislation by the local authority. So you actually get a bill from the council. Looks like it could be a bill from the council, but hopefully it's got a bid logo on it, and you know that that's your bill for the projects that you are particularly interested in investing in as a business. It's very important that the work that a bid does is additional to the work of the local authority. It's set down very clearly, and we have 2 sets of rules, an operating and a baseline agreement, which really clarify our relationship with the council to make sure that you're not subsidising council services and that you're really the icing on the cake, I guess. And then looking again at the bid rules, we have had a look at the bid rules for this 5-year period. They're there for you to scrutinise and have a look at. But just going back on what David said, for the purposes of calculating the bid levy this time around, we'll be using the 2017 valuation, and we will be using that for the whole of the 5-year term, because these are the rules that we've put in our proposal that's gone to government. So we've had a question in the questions that says, will we be adapting that? And I think there isn't a kind of easy one-line answer. If there's a revaluation of business rates, which means that everybody's business rates are halved, then obviously that would have a massive impact on our ability to do the work if we had half the amount of money to do it with. And I think it would probably be appropriate in that situation for us to come back and ballot the members so that we can have a change in rules, because that's the only way we're allowed to change the rules. So that would be the answer to that question that was put by one of the participants, is that we will keep that under review. However, what I will say is that one of the things I've been doing, and in collaboration with bids across the country, is lobbying on your behalves to try and get the government to do that root and branch kind of unpicking, if you like, of business rates. And I think that change is definitely coming. It's just a question of when it might come. And I think probably, given that we're charging you 0.75% of your rateable value, and business rates is in the region between 45 and 50% of your rateable value, it's probably going to have more impact if we can be part of the voices that gets your rateable value down than if we agree to change the bid levy mid-course. However, like I said, if there's a revaluation of the entire estate and it's appropriate for us to come back to you, then we will. That would be a board decision and then a member's decision. So we charge the bid levy on businesses who have a rateable value of greater than 25,000. Moving from the 2010 valuation that we currently work on to the 2017 valuation means that some businesses are newly part of the bid. Some businesses have been valued down and are no longer part of the bid, but we hope that we'll stay friends. And obviously some people will have to pay a little bit more depending on how your rateable value comes out. As a result of what's happened this year, we'll be fixed at 0.75% of rateable value. And then in years 2, 3, 4 and 5, we'll aim for a levy at 1.05%, but the board, we've maintained within our rules the discretion for the board to continue the reduction into year 2, so that so that we can react to whatever the pandemic might throw at us next. If you've got any questions about your particular circumstances, because obviously it's quite difficult to talk about this in any kind of generic way, we have a list of everybody's rateable values. We can do a calculation for you. If that helps, please just drop us a line or give us a call. And then to kind of give you some of the detail of our budget, I'd like to hand over to David.
Thank you, Alison. So here we are. This is our budget for the next 5 years. I'm conscious we're a little bit over time, so I will just make 1 or 2 brief points about the budget. I think the most important thing really to highlight is that we do have a strong track record of financial prudence. and we've shown historically that we can manage our financial needs well, that we can project our financial requirements well, and therefore deliver our plan and manage within our means. And that gives confidence that we can fund the proposals that we've set out for the next 5 years. It's also worth highlighting that our accounts are subject to external audit, and we have had a clean audit report throughout. Other points of note, I think you'll see that the majority of project spend falls into the welcoming city category, and we shouldn't be surprised about that, because that includes all those brilliant basics, the things that we know that are really important to our levy payers, so the cleaning, the security, the welcoming ambassadors, etc. Okay, we'll move on to how to vote, Alison.
Sorry, my mouse was playing up. It's very easy. I'm sure you've all voted in lots of things before. Please look out for the ballot papers coming through your door. You should have had the ballot notification already. If you haven't had it, it may be that the address is wrong. So if you haven't had the notification that a ballot's going to happen, then please get in touch and we'll make sure that we've got the correct information for you. You will receive 1 paper per property. If you've given us a home address, it's fine for it to come to a home address. If you haven't given us a home address and you want to change your mind, then I think we've got a limited time where we can adjust the addresses. And the paper will be pink, so you should spot it. I've just got one last 1-minute video that sums up what we'd like to say to you.
Why back the bid? And it's so important that Bath is managed so that we have pride in our city, and it is a city that can be enjoyed by those who live here, those who live near Bath, and those who work here.
What would the city be like without the Bath bid?
I think you'd notice if they weren't there.
It would certainly look scruffier, dirtier, untidier.
Without the ranger service, you're talking a lot of people, I think, would suffer. The city would go downhill.
It wouldn't be as nearly as friendly without the ambassadors here. When people see our blue jackets, they see Welcome to Bath and they see Bath bid. So I think we really do add something to the bid. And the bid adds an awful lot to Bath.
So I'm asking you to back the Bath bid.
Back the Bath bid.
Back the Bath bid.
Back the Bath bid for
a welcoming city for all.
A smart city.
A connected city.
A successful city.
Thank you. I'm going to hand over back to David now.
Thank you very much, Alison. I think we're now at a time when we can pick up any questions. I know you've picked up Paul Pearson's question, Alison. Thank you, and thank you for your very nice comment, Fiona. We have one additional question that's emerged. That is Matthew Fletcher, and he says he can see that the bid is really good for leisure and retail businesses, but struggles to see how businesses in other sectors get value from the bid, given its focus. Well, actually, this is something that we've given quite a lot of thought to. But Alison, would you like to pick that up?
Yeah, yes, I can do. I was thinking that might be something that you would hand over to one of the members of the board who actually runs an office sector business, but perhaps we'll come back to one of you. But obviously, the whole thing about the welcoming city is actually, it's about your staff. And I know that this year is different because we've all faced the horrible situation of having to make people redundant or putting people on furlough. But in a normal year, my feedback that we consistently get from the office sector is actually it's quite difficult to recruit. And so the whole point about our agenda around a welcoming city is really valuable to your recruitment. It's a nicer place to work. And that's about, you know, not stepping in things on the way into the office between your walk from the railway station or whatever it might be. And then coming back to the connected city, when we started to do some of the survey work around, developing this business plan, we talked about creating activities that don't cost any money actually, but need a bit of coordination. And we started to experiment just before the COVID pandemic hit, and we created a lunchtime choir. It was very, very cheap to run, and we got in our first session, I think 55 people who just said how lovely it was to have a different type of a different type of way of coming together in the city. And I think there's lots of brilliant ideas coming forward from the team at Bureau Happold, for example, that can bring those things together. We do a lot of handyman work for our office sector businesses. We help them with kind of large items that they don't have a van to take to the recycling centre, so we do it for them. There's all sorts of different small services that we can provide for individual businesses. And then there's the point about being in it, being part of this wider partnership that has Bath and Bath's success at its heart. And I think that I would urge all of the office sector businesses to participate, because it's a good thing to be part of. And actually it's yours, it belongs to all of your businesses. And so we're only limited by the scope of our ideas. And if you have brilliant things that you think we could be doing with the office sector, it would be great to hear from you. So, sorry if I've gone on.
Thanks, Alice. The only thing that I might add to that is, we've talked about the importance of upskilling some of the local population. Of course, that's very important to all businesses in terms of having access to well-trained, well-educated people. So I think that's a key point to talk about, especially given the work that we're doing with the two universities and the council in relation to iStart, for example. But I couldn't see before. My vision was restricted in terms of who was online from the panel. But I do notice we've got Richard online, who represents an office-based business, and I did wonder whether you might have any additional comments, Richard.
Thanks, David. And yeah, I was listening to what Alison was saying, and I was thinking, actually, I can't really add anything more. But I think one thing I can say to Matthew, who raised the question, is that one of the reasons that I was really keen to become a member of the bid on the board was I had the same questions myself as an office provider, and I actually thought being part of the process and engaging in it was a key part of something that we could do. And that Rocky Makers as a company in Bath, we're 30 plus people. We're not a huge organisation in the office space, but we do a lot of really innovative work and want to contribute back into the city. And I think being able to have the city be a great place for us to attract resources into is critical. And the bid provides a lot of services which really add value in that space for us.
Thank you, Richard. Right, so good. Well, I'm very happy to have just read Matthew Fletcher's response as well. So hopefully the board can all see that. I think that's it for questions. So
no, we had one more question. So we did have the question that was provided in advance, and it was the person.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Who wanted to know why we weren't mothballing the bid for a 12-month period, and whether we've made any savings in the last year. And obviously I think some of that's been covered by what you've said, but can I go back to you for that one, as it's a finance-ish question?
Yes, absolutely. I think it would be impractical and not viable to mothball the bid. And in any event, I think the continuation of work that has taken place through the lockdown has been so valuable for continued support for business. If you think about keeping the city centre in good state, so that we can respond well when shops, for example, have been able to reopen. And I think there is an ongoing legacy from that work, that once hotels and other venues like that can recommence again, that Bath is well placed because of its reputation as a city that is still attractive to visit. So so I think there are all sorts of reasons why it would be very difficult to mothball, and actually why we shouldn't do that.
And the other point was about saving money in this last financial year. We have saved some money, and we have had some significant reduction in income. We haven't earned as much money from levy payers as in a normal year. And there are a number of reasons. I'm sure you can imagine what they might be, but I mean, amongst other things, some of the major chains in the city have closed down, which has an impact on our income. And so we've made savings and we've had a loss of income, if that makes sense. And so what we've done is we've identified that saving, and obviously I think most of it will occur in this current 3-month period where we've furloughed 2 of the rangers. So we've just got 2 rangers, but we have kept all of the other services going. And that money will be reinvested into this new 5-year plan. So it will part fund the reduction in levy that we're offering for year 1, which helps us all to get going, so that we can maintain that same kind of optimism and positivity and actually energy to deliver some really exciting projects as we move out of the lockdown, because you know, we're going to need everything that we can get our hands on. It's going to, as Nicholas said right at the beginning, it's going to be a difficult period.
Yeah, thank you, Alison. I think that makes good sense. Yeah. All right. So with that, and because it's late, I will draw things to a close. But thank you, Alison, for the work I know you and your team have put in to this evening's event. It's been wonderful to see the outcome of it, and I appreciate that so much effort has gone into that. So thank you on behalf of all the board for what you've done for that. And I just simply want to close by encouraging everyone to back the bid for its 3rd term, to ensure that we can very genuinely keep on making Bath a better place for the people who live here, the people who work here, for our visitors, and most especially for its businesses. So thank you very much for being with us this evening, for your time, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. So thank you very much.